Even after a win, I'm never happy. A perfectionist like me is always looking for opportunities to get better so that I can increase my profits and decrease my losses. After we had our initial breakout here this morning in gold, instead of a retest, it offered a consolidation. And when I saw that it was accepting above this consolidation point, I took entry and we had a nice run. I set my stop loss just below the breakout candle with a 1.5 hour target. Within about 15 minutes, I actually hit my target and executed a partial close. Something that I typically do is I take a partial close at 1.5 hour. So I was actually able to clear 15 points. And then with the remaining contracts, that's treated as a runner. I usually move my stop loss up to either entry or the most logical place based on structure. And I did that after I moved my stop loss up to my entry point. I noticed that it came back down and retested, kind of found this bottom right here. I think right off the bat, looking at this in hindsight, probably the best move to do would have been to increase my stop loss up to this place where it had come back down and tested, because it ultimately stopped me out back at my entry point. So I did leave a solid 7 or 8 points on the table. And there's a real strong tendency for me, especially, to just say, okay, look, there's an opportunity to get better, but that has not been tested. And that's one of the biggest challenges in all of this is I have an idea and a theory, and then instead of putting it into practice, I need to do the due diligence and go back over 20 trades and test and see, is that a valid idea? And over time, does the data support me moving my stop loss to the entry or to the structure, or would it be better to increase it? And once I figure that out, once I see that the data proves that would have been the best move, then that's how I'll modify my playbook and my rules moving forward on trade management. Even as I look at the opening range, I see that the entire opening range was formed by a trend. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what if I was able to enter back here? This is pre-market, but in my mind, I'm thinking I really want to capitalize and make the most out of every trade. But even before I would do something like that, again, it would require me to put in the work and go through the process of validating this with data. And if it did validate that, I would allow myself to consider a new place of entry. This is one of the hardest things with trading. It prompts you to want to make changes all the time, but professional traders don't make changes every time the wind blows. Everything needs to be validated with back testing, and the data needs to support it. I did hit a milestone today that makes me happy. I have passed my eval and I'm onto a funded account, and I've been doing all this with 2 contracts, which is very slow because even the profit is minimal. And when I do that, it's forcing me to continue to stay true to my discipline. It forces me to have more of a realistic approach. So I'm intentionally not increasing my contract sizes until I have a larger buffer zone. I'm doing this because this is forcing me to stick to my discipline. It's forcing me to evaluate the trade based on the trade, not the overall profit. And as I prove to myself that I consistently can execute my edge, then I'm allowing myself to set up trades with bigger contracts. This prevents me from taking aggressive trades before I'm ready, and it also forces me to stay true to my discipline. My ultimate goal is not to make money. My ultimate goal is to consistently execute my edge over hundreds of trades.